Hi, I'm about to make a cartoon of a rocket fly through the air and explode. I'll be making this cartoon using Adobe Flash Professional CS5. I'll begin by clicking on File, New. ActionScript 3.0, that's okay. This white area here represents the size of the cartoon window. If I do a right mouse button click over the top of it and click on Document Properties, I can change some of the settings. I'll begin by just changing the dimensions, 560 pixels in width down to 350 pixels in height. I can click here and choose sky blue as the background color. I'll click OK. This layer here will actually serve as my background. I'll double click here where it says layer 1 and rename that background. So obviously the soft blue area there represents the sky. I'll click on the rectangle tool to create the ground. The fill color will be green. Left click down, drag out an area. That's the ground. And my cartoon will run for about 45 frames. So I've clicked here at the 45 frame mark in the timeline, right mouse button, insert keyframe. Now my cartoon will run for about 1.8 seconds, given that the frame rate is 24 frames per second. I can just double click in there and change that to 20 frames per second. So now my cartoon will run for just over 2 seconds at 2.2 seconds. I'm pretty happy with the background there, so I'll just lock it in. That way I can't accidentally change anything. I'll move my mouse to the bottom left corner and click on the new layer button. In this second layer, I'll just double click that. In this second layer, I'll rename that rocket because it's within this layer that I'll create the rocket. Now I want the rocket to fly from frame 1 all the way to about frame 24, 25. So I'll grab that last frame and drag it towards 25. I'll click here, I'll press Shift on the keyboard, click there, do a right mouse button, remove frames. So now I'll go back to frame 1 and this is where I'll begin making my rocket. So there's my rectangle tool. That's the tool I'll be using. I want the fill color to be gray, but I want the stroke color, well, I don't want any stroke at all. I don't want any colored border of any kind on my rectangle. So I'll just click on this button here. So I really have no border at all. Let's put that back. I'll left click down, drag out an area. This will serve as the body of my rocket. I'll click here on the selection tool. I'll click on the rectangle, right mouse button, copy, right mouse button, paste. This new rectangle here will serve as the tip of the rocket. I'll have to reshape it first by clicking on the sub-selection tool and moving my pointer so that it is just over the border of the rectangle, and there should be a small black square at the base of the pointer. I click and a white handle should actually appear in each of the corners of the rectangle. I can left click down and drag that in. I can left click down and drag that in. I can then go back to my selection tool. At the base of the pointer should be 4 small arrows pointing north, south, east, west. I left click down. I drag that over there. Let's get a better view of this by going to View, Zoom in, View, Zoom in. I can improve on that. I might just click on the sub-selection tool, click on the border there, and just drag that a little bit. Might zoom out, zoom out. Looks a little better. I might do a right mouse button click, paste. Make sure I select the sub-selection tool. Click on the border. This rectangle will be used to create the fins. I'll just drag that handle over the top of the other, drag that handle down, drag this corner across, down. Now the width of that is about 32.45. Might copy that and paste. Might choose the free transform tool. Drag that across. That should be 32.45. Click on the selection tool. Drag that across there. Drag this across here. So I think my rocket is pretty much done. Now I'll click on that first frame, do a right mouse button click, click on motion tween. Yes, I do want to convert that to a symbol. I'll click on the 24th frame there. I'll drag that across to here. That dotted line represents the motion of the rocket. That's how it'll move. I'll click here on the 24th frame and I'll move my pointer, and you'll very close to the line there, the dotted line, and you can see at the base of the pointer there's an arc. I can left click down and accentuate that arc. I can click on frame 1, click on the free transform tool. I can rotate that rocket so that it points in the direction of that parabolic trajectory there. I can click on that first frame, click on orient the path, press enter to see how it looks. Not bad. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'll lock it in. That way I can't accidentally change anything. Go to the bottom left corner again, make a new layer. This layer will be used to create the explosion. Now, the explosion will occur roughly at about the 24 frame mark. I'll do a right mouse button click, insert keyframe. I'll grab that last frame there and pull it into roughly about the 32 frame mark. I'll go across here to frame 24. I'll click on rectangle. Now this time the fill color will be yellow. Now the rectangle options will all be -100. I'll left click down and drag out an area. And use my selection tool to move that around a little bit. I'll copy that and I'll paste it. Go to the free transform tool. Rotate that a bit. I'll drag that over here. I'll use my arrow buttons on the keyboard if I need to get that perfectly across. but that should do. I'll click here on frame number 24, do a right mouse button click, create motion tween. Yes, I do want to convert to a symbol. Yes, okay. I'll click here, frame 31, and I'll just stretch that out. So I'll click here on frame 1 and see how it looks. Not bad. Pretty happy with that, so I'll lock it in. I'll go again to the new layer button, bottom left corner. I'll click, double click there. This is where I create the smoke from my explosion. Now the smoke will first appear roughly at about the 31 frame mark. Do a right mouse button, insert keyframe. Now I'll just click on that last frame and drag it in a bit to about 41 frame mark. I'll click here, press shift on the keyboard, click there, right mouse button, remove. So I'll click here on frame 31. Again, go to the rectangle tool. This time the fill color will be that shade of grey, but the rectangle options will be positive 100. I'll make a whole series of circles now to represent smoke. That'll do. Now I'll click here, do a right mouse button click, create motion tween. Yes, I want to convert to a symbol. I'll click on that last frame there, free transform. So I've clicked on frame 40. I'll stretch that out. I'll lift it up. And the color effect will be alpha, and the value will be 0, and that way it'll slowly become invisible. So let's see what I've done so far. I've clicked on frame 1. I'm going to press enter. Not bad. So the last thing I'll do is I'm going to click on Control and click on Test Movie in Flash Professional. Now this will create the SWF file in the same folder as my Flash file. And that's what it'll look like. And so this is how you use Adobe Flash Professional CS5 to create a cartoon of a rocket flying through the air and exploding.